You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Outdoors. It's the on 95.3 The Bear and Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230. Roll Tide.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning. Welcome into a Monday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to get in on the show with us this morning. The X accounts at Locker Room 109, at Barry Sanderson, and at Wimp Sanderson 1. And the email address for the show is wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Download that Tide 100.9 app to your smartphone, and you can take us with you anywhere you go. Before we get started, we want to thank Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you certainly don't want it. You want to build the 5-star backyard, the fence, the deck, the pergola. There's only one choice. And go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer closest to you. All right, we're not starting off to a good morning. I came in the studio. Somebody, whoever was in here last, or somebody came in and took the battery out of the mouse. So I have no computer right now. I have found a battery, but I've booted it up, and Chase, it's not working. So I don't have a computer, so you're going to have to let me know when there's calls in, and I can't get on the internet and all that. So it's hard to do the show without the internet, but we'll do the best that we can. So maybe we'll get some phone calls, 205-342-9904. Got a log jam in the SEC. It's kind of weird that Georgia is done playing in the SEC, but Alabama and some people still have 2 more games, so it will still be a couple of weeks before it sorts itself out. But we'll see what the committee does tomorrow with these 2 lost teams, because there's a lot of them. Good morning, Chase. Good morning, Dad. How you guys this morning?
I'm okay. Alabama, the only statement for Alabama is they have to keep winning. I know everybody's proud of them being number 7, playing 4 quarterbacks. I didn't get to see the game. I can't get on Plus anymore. I don't know how to do it. So I didn't see it, but I know they played 4 quarterbacks, and Williams scored a touchdown. So regardless of how you feel about Alabama at the present time, they're a 14-point favorite at Oklahoma. Don't know what the line will be. Doesn't matter at Auburn against Auburn at home. So that's where they stand. They have to win those 2 games to be in good shape. Now, the other factor I'll tell you before I go over whatever's been said is that the odds right now show that they have a great chance to be in the playoff game, in the championship game. Win or lose, they're going to be in the 12. According to the commissioner the other day. If they win, they get a bye in home field. If they lose in the championship game, they get wherever they put them. So they have good odds to get to the championship game. They need to win the championship game in order to get the home field advantage, according to what they have said that the commissioner said. So if anyone wants to correct me on that, they can. The reason Georgia wins is they're so well coached, because Carson Beck is better than people think, has not had a great year. The offensive line was absolutely, without a doubt, terrific. And I think the other factor is the offensive coordinator at Georgia is terrific. He is so good. And I think the one at Alabama is very good, too. So both of those guys are good. And good win. Barry can tell you about Alabama better than I. Tennessee won a basketball game. Mississippi State beat Utah in a basketball game. Alabama lost at Purdue. Raphael Campos won at Bermuda. Doug Bell will not be on today. Called me. Told me that he's flying back, and he will be on in the 8:15 hour tomorrow. Georgia gets to the top 10. BYU lost, so was certainly glad I lost the blue plate to South Carolina. But BYU did lose in their game against Kansas. Really, we thought a set-up game, and it wasn't BYU. That they did it. So Wisconsin fired the offensive coordinator, which is a surprise after the Oregon game. And Southern Cal lost their 5-star quarterback. And so as it stands now, and I'll hush, your top 4 are Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Alabama 7, Georgia 8, Ole Miss 9, Tennessee 10. And we'll see what happens. The games this week, Barry, and I guess we'll talk about them as they go through the show.
Yeah, just real fast. The SEC, I would think, I know you have your rivalry games at the end of the year, the last game, so Georgia will take on Georgia Tech, South Carolina takes on Clemson, and on down the list. But I would at least think there should be all SEC slate this week. But Georgia, as I said, is done. So let's look at this week, see if it has anything to do with maybe Atlanta. You got Ole Miss at Florida, so that's probably the biggest game of the weekend, to be honest with you. It's 11 o'clock. Ole Miss 9.5-point favor on the road. Give Florida credit for kind of hanging in there with all the negativity around and knocking off LSU. UMass is at Georgia. Nobody cares. UTEP is at Tennessee. Nobody cares. Kentucky is at Texas. So obviously Texas needs to win to still have the hope to get to Atlanta. South Carolina is already done with their SEC schedule. They take on Wofford this weekend. So the minimum they'll win to be 8 games this year with Shane Beamer. They're currently 7-3. Louisiana Tech travels to Arkansas. Who cares? Missouri, boy, they could not hang on. I was listening to on the radio on the way back from Mississippi State. Texas A&M at Auburn could mean something as far as the Final 12, as far as who goes to Atlanta. Currently, Texas A&M is a 2.5-point favorite in that game. Alabama, Oklahoma, obviously for Alabama fans, that's a big game as far as Atlanta, as far as the playoff. Alabama currently opens up as a 14-point favorite. And then Vanderbilt and LSU, LSU's out of it, so that really doesn't mean anything. So Vandy, other than Vandy having a great season, and LSU trying to get people off of Coach Kelly's back. So there are some decent games. I wish it would be an all SEC slate. I get the next week, but it's kind of weird to me that you got some teams already done with the conference, and then you got some teams that have 2 games remaining.
Well, I think the games. I think is a let's see what happens type thing with Ole Miss and Florida. Florida probably can't beat them, but let's see what happens. I think that's let's see what happens kind of game. The rest of them is next. Let's see what happens is Alabama and Oklahoma. Alabama loses, they're going to get out, and I think Barry's right. The Texas A&M game will have some effect because they're going to play Texas in the final game, and if Auburn were to rebound and beat them, and then Texas were to beat them, they could be out. So those are the 3 games. Alabama and Auburn involved in 2 of the 3, and I would think Kentucky and Texas shouldn't be a big game, but I do think Ole Miss. Florida may not be good enough to beat them down there, but they could.
Yeah, and then the big talk is, and I think Alabama will be ahead of these teams, is where will the committee rank Bama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Ole Miss? Who will be ahead of who? They've all, obviously, Ole Miss knocked off Georgia. Georgia beat Tennessee. Tennessee beat Alabama. Alabama beat Georgia. So I think the only thing you could do in that situation, if you're the committee, is you got to look, all right, who has the best wins? Outside of those pot of teams there. And I would say probably with South Carolina and maybe LSU on the road, the way they won, that Alabama would get the nod over those teams. So I look for Alabama to be ranked ahead of those teams when the poll comes out tomorrow. But at this point, who knows? Kirby Smart seemed to be very frustrated with the committee. He talks about how difficult it is to win on the road in this league, and people don't understand that. But it is true, Kirby, but you haven't played great in certain events. They got to rank them somehow. So, I don't know. What do you anticipate Bama being ahead of Georgia, Tennessee, and Ole Miss tomorrow, or somebody else being ahead of those guys?
I think Alabama might be ahead of them. Not sure. I think Tennessee is really. I'm kind of backing up on what you said. I think Tennessee is really frustrated with Georgia. I think Georgia. I don't like to talk about out coaching somebody because that's. I don't think you do. Your players win the games or lose the games for you. But I'm telling you right now, Georgia's so cotton picking ready to play Tennessee every time they play them. To me, and the other, nobody knew how that game was going to turn out. None of us did. But to answer your question, I think Alabama, if they will stay ahead because they beat Georgia. I thought because they beat Georgia, Barry, but Georgia's not the old Georgia in the rankings like they used to be. And so, good question. I didn't give you a very good answer.
Well, Tennessee will say, well, we beat Alabama. Alabama will say, well, we beat Georgia. Ole Miss will say, well, we beat Georgia. So, I don't know. It's clear as mud right now. But I would think with strength of schedule, and, of course, Alabama did not need LSU to go down there and lose like that, because then that takes what they did against those. I mean, not away, because they blew them out in Baton Rouge at night. But anyway, we'll see. All right, we'll open up the phone lines. We'll get to break here. I have no computer, Chase, you will have to let me know by text if we have a phone call. I don't know if Audio Bob can come in and rescue the day. 2 minute truck there at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth. Whether it's local, out of town, out of state, no problem. Let the professionals handle it. They'll take great care of you and your stuff. Give them a call today, 205-247-5050. That's 2 minute truck movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa Thread.
Good morning. This is Mary Kay from the Town Square Media Newsroom. And as Alabama football inches closer to its dream of making the SEC championship, the Crimson Tide continues to rise in the latest polls. Next up, this Saturday, Alabama heads to Oklahoma with a 6:30 kickoff. And the Tuscaloosa Symphony Orchestra will present a special first-time experience tonight with its candlelight concert, Chamber of Lights. Tap the free Tuscaloosa Thread app for more details. And rain is set to return Tuesday, lasting through the night. The southern half of the state could receive between 2 and 3 inches of rainfall.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We are creeping on into your prime time rush to work. And on this Monday, we do have a bit of a slow go. This is inside the construction zone. So typical here on 2059 westbound direction, or in that southwest direction at 359. And you got some slow rolls starting to really form.
She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by
Police Department and the men and women who serve every day. Learn more and apply today at jointuscaloosapd.com. That's jointuscaloosapd.com.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house.
Every game all season right here on your home for Alabama basketball. The Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly to mostly sunny today, the high 75. Clouds move in tonight, the low 62. Tomorrow, cloudy, rain becoming widespread, the high 68. For Thursday, the sky becoming partially sunny, the high 66. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 59 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Your home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
good. So I'm like, I got the computer back working, so I feel like I'm back in. All right, Yellowwood pressure treated pine from Great Southern. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you certainly don't want it. Real quick, people text me. We did go over to Mississippi on Saturday. We played the number 1 player in Mississippi, ranked number 92 in the country, and held him to 12 points, and we did win 52-35. Mississippi State was there watching him. Now he's missing a guard or two because of football, but he only made 2 2-point field goals. He hit a 3, and the rest were free throws. So I'm sure Mississippi State will try to coach him a little bit differently maybe than what happened there. But it was a good win, and to hold him to 12 points, I thought the number 1 player in Mississippi, I thought my guys did pretty good there. All right, to the Yellowwood hotline and bring Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Great win, Barry, man. Proud of your team. And Wilt was right. You got to put a knee back there in his back. Yeah, you got to get a foul call, but you don't have
16 and your knee won't get to his back.
Well, you got to put it somewhere around in that area.
Yeah, so we tried to push him, and I don't know. He stayed on the perimeter a lot, and I like those 6'10" guys that stay on the perimeter a lot. So anyway,
yeah, and well, congratulations, and Wimp. I just want to say I loved your opening remarks a minute ago. It was so right about Alabama and, winning out and taking care of business. And if they win out, I think they're going to go to Atlanta. And that's why what Barry said last week was so important. You go to Atlanta and win, you're not worried about a first-round game. You're going to get a bye then. So
the commissioner has come out, Philip, and finally clarified the championship game. He did that on another show and said that the winner or loser is going to be there. In the 12, not actually where they want to be, but the winner is going to be first round bye and a home field advantage. I don't know if he said that part of it or not, but he explained about winning and losing the championship game.
Well, your remarks were great, and I appreciate you mentioning that because it just shows you how important it is to get to that game. And I don't understand these fans that don't understand that. That tickles me. But
I didn't get to see the game. I don't know how to get ESPN Plus anymore. But Barry's always wanting them to play a lot of quarterbacks, and I noticed in the paper that they played 4. I didn't get to see the game against Mercer.
They did, sir. They did, and I'll tell you, Barry and Wimp. The funny thing now it's working out is it's such a quirky season. Is that Vanderbilt is Bama's worst loss, and Vanderbilt is Texas's best win.
Well, the playoff format is flawed, and it's flawed tremendously. When you look at the ACC, for instance, one of those teams is going to be in the top 4. The highest ranked team is SMU at 13. So Clemson 17. I'm sorry, Miami is 11. So. The winner of that game is going to get in the top 4. The other conference where it's flawed is the Big 12. BYU is 6-1, and Colorado is 6-1. So if they both win out, it'll be BYU versus Colorado for a top 4 seed. The loser probably won't even get in the playoffs. So you're going to have 2 teams with the ACC and the Big 12. But instead of just letting those teams get in the playoff, but reseeding and put the 4 best at the top 4, that's the format you got now. So, so right now, of course, Vegas knows everything. We were wanting to know why in the world was Kansas only a 2.5-point underdog against BYU, and you found out why real fast. That BYU is just really not that good. Kansas knocks them off. So it's a flawed system, Philip.
It is, Barry. You'd think they would get that right. You'd think they'd get that right, and they didn't get it right. And let me tell you, Colorado, my hat's off to them. They've done a good job, and Deion's done a good job. And if they, if they host a game in Boulder on the 20th of December or 21st, whichever date they would get, there's liable to be 8 feet of snow on the sidelines.
Yeah, they got a tough week. They have to go to Kansas, and there's nothing more than these Big 12 teams would like to to knock Dion off, and then they finish up the year at home against Oklahoma State, which is probably doable. But this Kansas game this weekend, if I don't know where game day is going, they ought to go there.
They ought to go there.
I'm not sure. I have to check to see where they're going. Chase, if you know find out where they're going this weekend.
Barry, I'll close by saying this, Barry. I think that also the committee's got it wrong. I think the top 4 teams are not the top 4 teams of the top 4 teams now. I think those teams are probably in the back 8. And I think Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and maybe Indiana are actually maybe the top 4 teams right now.
Where are they this weekend? Probably to Indiana, Ohio State.
Yeah,
Indiana.
They're going to Indiana.
Yeah, that probably makes sense. You got Indiana, Ohio State this weekend, so that's where game day will be. That's where they should be. But that's a pretty interesting story with Colorado, what they've done, and have a chance to make this playoff after winning 1 game 2 years ago.
It is. It's going to be an amazing thing to watch, and if they beat Kansas, man, they're looking good. I think they've got a good team, and they should win and get in the playoffs. It'd be a monumental upset if they don't. I'll tell you another game to me that I think has got warning all over it, and that's Ole Miss going to Florida.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss currently is a 9-point favorite, but Florida's good enough to beat them, don't you think?
I think they are. And the Alabama game, just like Kensington Smith talked about on the Martin Houston show a minute ago, that's a game that Alabama's got to be mentally ready to play a good game and to keep doing what they're doing, which I think Sheridan's made a nice turnaround from the Tennessee game. I think we blew that game throwing the ball all over the field. But the way Alabama settled in and settled down and curbed some of that nonsense has tremendously benefited Alabama, and hopefully they can continue to do that against Oklahoma.
Yeah, it should be interesting week. I don't like some teams already being done with their conference slate, and then some teams still have 2 games left. Like Alabama still has 2 conference games. You got to all kind of finish at the same time, or at least 1 week with 1 week to go with those rivalry games. But maybe they can fix that in the future.
Yeah, Georgia's done. They got UMass and Georgia Tech.
Yeah. So anyway, sounds good. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, guys. Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll take the break here, and we'll get Max Howell in. We'll talk a little SEC with Coach Howell. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We are creeping on into your prime time rush to work. And on this Monday, we do have a bit of a slow go. This is inside the construction zone. So typical here on 2059 westbound direction, or in that southwest direction at 359. And you got some slow rolls starting to really
get our free lifetime powertrain warranty. Every in-stock Rogue, Altima, Murano, Titan, Frontier, Pathfinder will be discounted for immediate sale. See BJ or Kylan today.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly to mostly sunny today, the high 75. Clouds move in tonight, the low 62. Tomorrow, cloudy, rain becoming widespread, the high 68. And for Thursday, the sky becoming partially sunny, the high 66. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 59 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Well, in North Carolina, way back in the hill, lived my old pappy, and he had him a still. He brewed white lightning till the sun went down, and then he'd fill him a jug and he'd pass it around. Mighty, mighty pleasing, Pappy's corn squeezing.
You know what that music means. It's time to get to Max Howell. Before we do that, we want to thank Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you certainly don't want it. All right, he's the former assistant football coach at Florida State and at Ole Miss, current radio personality throughout the Southeast. Joins us every Monday, Coach Max Howell. Good morning, Max. How are you?
Hey, Max. Doing great, guys. How y'all this morning?
We're good. Go ahead, Dad.
I think the question I want to know, because everybody's playing games that they have to win in order to stay in the 12, is it possible if Texas A&M were to beat Texas, that Texas would be out of the 12?
I know. I think they get in, but I think they'll be, their high-ranked position all year long will certainly be diminished. No, I think they got to be in. We're gonna have several teams in there with 2 losses, and I think, of course, that'd be huge for Texas A&M. But
I don't know who Alabama is going to play, and if Alabama were to get through their 2 games, who Alabama would play in the championship game in Atlanta is kind of interesting to me before we get to the 12.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. That game's going to be.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But, if we back it up, Coach, I think this game coming up with Oklahoma, with Alabama, is extremely important. I think the committee's going to really look at that one closely to see, regardless of what Oklahoma's done, Oklahoma's got a history. We know that you got to go to Norman to play. Alabama didn't have much competition this week. They played a lot.
Everything lays in Alabama and Georgia's hands, both of them. It lays in their hands to win.
Well, they got to. You're absolutely right. If they want, and I thought this past week with Georgia Tennessee, I thought Kirby, they just outcoached Tennessee. I thought they had overall better talent, but I thought Tennessee's defense got caught completely off guard, and Kirby had picked up some. Kirby had picked up some trends there that when they did the cross motions where they pulled the guards one way and the quarterback rolled the other with a end.
Georgia's very good. Offensive coordinator's terrific.
They did. They really. I thought they did. That jumped out at me as a really good coaching move. And I think really, we talk about coaching all we want to, but we're going to see the coaches come to the head these last 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to see the guys that do the best job, not only on the field, but getting their kids ready to play. And they all know what's at stake right now with this, with a 12-team playoff. So, I'm really excited about this upcoming week. This 13th week is going to play, I think, a really important role for a lot of these teams, particularly the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, the playoff predictors got Oregon 100% in, Indiana 97%, telling me they could even lose the game. Ohio State 95%, so there's 3 Big Ten teams. Texas 94%, Georgia 92% to make the playoffs. So they're in, and as long as they win their 2 games, and they've got UMass and Georgia Tech, then they're in the playoff. Alabama currently sitting at 71%. So it doesn't matter how they play at Oklahoma; they just got to win. If they
got to, you're right.
If they win, then they're gonna. And they beat Auburn, they're probably in the playoff. But what the committee is going to have to rank. Texas will be the first team in the SEC ranked. They'll be 3. But who do you rank next in the SEC? You got Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. Max, who's ahead in that group?
I think it's going to be whoever wins out how they win this coming up season. I think strength of schedule is going to play.
But I'm saying tomorrow, they got to rank them tomorrow. Who's going? Looks like Bama probably will with their strength of schedule, and they have more quality wins than the other teams.
And I think the loss to Kentucky by Ole Miss is going to hurt them a little bit in that particular phase of the rankings. So I think they're going to take strength of schedule certainly in consideration. A lot of times I can't see them doing that before, but I think now toward the end they're going to have to do that just because of where the balance is. And I really, in all fairness, guys, when we sit back and look at it, the NCAA, in the 12-team playoff, I think is getting just what they wanted. Teams bunched up right there and having to make a decision on who gets in or not. Because what that's going to do is make a heck of a lot better competition when the playoffs start. And that's all they want. They want that competitive team playing each other. So they
increase the number next year to 16 is what it's going to do.
Yeah, I believe that too, Coach. I do. I think it's going, like I say, it's all playing down the road just like it was projected to do. Many times some things don't work out that way. But I think this is because they're after the big numbers watching the playoff games because of the money and the television revenue. So here we go. We got everybody's going to pull their own team, and isn't it funny how, like the LSU Florida game? I never thought in the world LSU going in and get beat, but I really thought Florida just wanted the game more, and Ole Miss better Ole Miss better go to Gainesville this weekend to play because if they don't, Florida's defense has gotten much better over the last couple of weeks. So they can't just go in there and assume that they're going to win that football game. And I think that's what it's all about toward the end of the season here.
Yeah, it's we talked before you got it. It's a flawed system too. When you're going to reward the ACC and the Big 12, the winner, you're going to get one of the top 4 seeds. I think they should get in the playoff, but you can't tell me SMU, Clemson, or Miami should be one of the top 4 seeds. And then in the Big 12, you're looking at Colorado possibly taking on BYU. And the winner of that game is going to get a top 4 seed. They should be in the playoff, but they should not be a top 4 seed with a bye. You should just get the 12 best and seed it that way. And I'm sure there'll be some tweaking of that before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. But think about it. Going in this first year, they didn't know how these teams were going to work out. They had to sit back and give some credence to at least recognizing these different conferences. And I think you're right. I think it'll be tweaked to get the best 12 teams in down the road. They may have to, evaluate. But when they do that, the thing they're going to have to evaluate the schedule. They'll streak the schedule. And those guys that they committed they want to do that because they know they're going to have to point the fingers at some teams that have maybe historically been good are not as good anymore, like Oklahoma, for example. And it's going to cause some confusion, and I know that goes with the job, but a lot of those guys don't want to take that criticism in experimenting on how to get the best 12 teams in there. And sometimes we've seen teams, come along in the year, they were ranked high to begin with, and they lose a few, and then toward the end of the season, they get it back together, and the kids start playing hard again, and they do a better coaching job, and they come back and win it. And you've got that fluctuation, I think, during the season that has to be recognized somewhere. So I know it's not an easy formula, but those guys have volunteered or were appointed to sit on those committees to do this. Then you got to do what your job calls for it to get done. For the fans, I think it's probably more exciting than it's been in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't have anything.
Max, just talk about the job Deion's done. There's a lot of people that were laughing when he got there and how he did it, but he never wavered from what he believed. To be quiet, it was amazing that he kind of stayed in there. And now he's got, which no reason to apologize. He's got 2 elite players with his son, and then obviously Travis. But will he be able to replace those guys and keep that thing going, or will he walk after this season, in your opinion?
Well, I think that, of course, the word is that Dallas is looking at him and said, I don't know that he wants to even go to the NFL, I'll tell you the truth. I've heard him say before he didn't want to go anywhere where the guys that he was working with made more money than he did. So I don't think that's going to be so. But I think what he does is just the way he got Colorado there. He may run 40 of them off next year and bring back another 35 or 40 kids. That's where he's gotten to where he is now. Now, finding that group, of course, the quarterback is being his son, and Travis Hunter was the number 1 player in the country when he brought him to Jackson State. He just took him with him when he got to Colorado. But I think his philosophy is now starting to set in, and I think there'll be a lot of, particularly with the portal, there'll be a lot of kids that want to go play for him, because they get national publicity every week, but, win, lose, or draw. He's going to draw attention, and I think that's part of that's his attraction, to get those kids out there, is his personality. Even though it's brash, but I was around him for 2 years, and I'll tell you guys, he knows when to turn that on and when to sit back and not say a word. He's a pretty smart guy. He's a self-promoter, but I've heard him say 100 times, it ain't bragging if you can do it. That's what he told them all out there, and he's been able to prove that. So I think it's going to be very interesting. Colorado, the money situation that he's drawn into a dead program at Colorado is just phenomenal. Over $100 million this past year in advertising dollars alone, and they didn't even have enough to pay his salary that they offered him when they hired him. He actually raised the money through publicity and for the university to get his salary paid. So those are the kind of stories that many times miss the headlines. other than the average fan just watches what they do on Saturday. But I think he's got a great chance. I think he'll get the kids up to play. I don't know where he can win the next two, but he's going to be favored or close to it in these next two ball games.
Yeah, Max, it's going to be interesting to see when these new coaching hires come. Starting next year, these schools in the Power 5 or 4, how do you say it, are going to have to pay out $22 million to these athletes. So firing these guys with these big buyouts now, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to do because you got $22 million going out the door that hadn't been going out the door in the past. So, you can be LSU fans and you can be disgruntled with Coach Kelly, but really there's nothing you can do at this point. So we'll be, when these guys do start moving around, it'll be interesting to see what these buyouts, what they do with them. But you want to hire the hot coach if you're at LSU, if you're at Florida, wherever you are. But the negotiation of the buyouts and all that, I think is going to be something different going on through college football.
I agree. And you know who's going to win in that? The lawyers.
Jimmy Sexton.
I guarantee you, that's the way it's going to have to go. And they're going to have to do that. It's going to be negotiation. And these long-term, these long-time big salaries, like Coach Kelly at LSU, and he got $95 million in there for 7 or 8 years or 9 years. And he may not, they may turn on him because certainly the team's not performing right now like they expected. And I just use that as an example. But I see, and if there is an underlying factor at Florida by keeping Napier another year, is that $26 million payout. And I think Florida's already recognized that, even though if they want to make a change, they got the money to do it. But when you start taking chunks out like that, and I think Auburn's a good example, when you have 2 or 3 coaches you're trying to pay off, that's going to water down what you got, existing now. Because there's only going to be a certain amount of money going to come in every year. That'll fluctuate some by the gate receipts if you're having a great year. But if you're not, again, use Auburn an example, they still bring it in because they got a lot of hope that it's going to turn around. But you let them go through another season like this, I think about where the fan base is going to be. How many people are going to buy those season tickets to keep that money flowing? So I think all that's going to have to be worked out, Barry. But as it stands now, and you're looking at what's happened up to now, and looking at the money you're talking about coming under the conditions now, I see lawsuits when start kind of have to pay out that kind of money. They can't write a check. A lot of those schools can't for the amount. So they'll have to work out years, X number of dollars up front, and then pay it out by the year after that. Whether they want to do that or not, the lawyers will have to determine that.
Yeah, maybe spread out the buyouts. What is LSU? I mean, they're not going to. I guess they just going to have. There's nothing they can do, right, with Coach Kelly. I mean, they're just going to have to kind of bite it and hope he can turn it around. What happens there?
Right. I don't know. That's he came in. I questioned it first about having stayed, his background up there, but he pulled. He came down there, and I was told by people on the inside that he had some administrative skills they really liked. Because at the time he came, if you recall, they had all kind of problems, basketball problems and everything else in the athletic department, and that he was going to try to share in some of those responsibilities. I don't know anything about it now. My main contact's not on the staff anymore, so I'm kind of guessing just like everybody else is. But he's got a track record up to now. I think the expectations of where LSU is year in and year out could cause him some problems. I don't know where he's not getting enough of the right kids. The competition's picked up. I think there's a multitude of problems at LSU that just hasn't really surfaced yet. And I'm not saying they can't be overcome, but the fact is that that team does not play consistent. They don't play the same every week if you watch them, and that goes back to the coaching staff. You got to prep to get it ready. And Coach Kelly said that in some of his interviews. That the coaching staff's not getting it done week in and week out. So I'm sure he's included himself in that number, but that is his responsibility. So I think certainly they'll be a little rumbling this year, but if you let him go another year like this, and I think they're going to sit up and take notice and maybe start passing the hat to get money to buy him out. I don't know.
Max, one of the problems I see right now, Alabama has lost in the last week. Chase, correct me if I'm wrong. I think 4 commitments. So they had guys that have been committed for a long time. And so when they're committed, then these people here at the end, they just go in and say, all right, how much? And then they just go in over you.
Sure.
And so, I mean, that's not recruiting. That's bidding for players. That's very difficult to, if Alabama's got this guy committed, Ohio State, I think, is coming on a running back who just decommitted from Alabama. I think he's going to pick Ohio State. I mean, what do you do? Do you just go try to find more money and start bidding against Ohio State? I mean, how do you handle this?
I think it starts with evaluation when you're recruiting. You go back, and if that was a high school kid, then you may have to move to the portal. I think that's that's a necessary evil now that the portal has brought. It's a lot of positive comes in for teams that are looking for players, but evaluation is going to be the whole key, Barry, where you say, okay, just because an agency has ranked this kid the best player in the country, does he fit our system? And if he's not, is there somebody else out there that can be as good as he is if he comes to our system? I think all of those kind of results will have to come. But do
you think the system really matters, or is it the money?
Well, the money certainly, but if you're going after the right kid, then the money's not going to matter because the kid will want to come there. Unless, let's see how to say it. I'm saying you got to do a better job of overall evaluation to find more players that can fit your system. But there are kids out there that that'll come for whatever the NIL money at your school will offer, and maybe he's been missed, overlooked by others. That happens at the high school level when we just bid for kids to come to our school or go somewhere else. When I was at Florida State, we was always in the hunt for the top players in the country, and we got our fair share of them at that time. Now, you're right. When it comes down to 2, and I think I heard Coach Saban say when he retired, that was one of the reasons it wasn't any more about what they could do for the kid in the program is how much money can you pay me? So I think this transition is going to be about the money a year or two, but I think that'll level out. But the coaches particularly these schools running for championships every year, they're going to have to do a much better job in recruiting, in evaluation.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know the kid's name that is committed to LSU that Michigan's come in and offered him over $10 million. And supposedly he's still going to stay with LSU. So I don't know. It's just I just don't think it's how college football should be. To be honest, I'm not making something, but this is ridiculous.
That's the system, though, we've inherited, and I think at some point in time, there's got to be some regulations put on that system. Now, why the reluctance to jump out there to do it right now, I don't know. Maybe they can't find anybody that wants to help regulate it. Maybe that's the way the first year or two. But I think it will wash out. There'll be some rough years right now. There'll be schools that will miss players because of the money itself. But, I can remember vividly players that have been recruited because of their rankings. Let's take the money out, and let's just say there's a kid that's been promoted and really can't live up to that. He's been paid that money. So what happens when he goes somewhere that first year and he doesn't get to play or get to start? He falls on his face. Well, they want to get rid of him. They want to get rid of that obligation for that $10 million. So that would be a key kid that's put back in. It's already played a year. That maybe his evaluation has changed now. So we're gonna have some disappointments. It's just like big business. Guys out there every day bid on jobs, and they overbid on it, and get into the job. They either lose money on the thing, or they can't complete it, or whatever. And I'm comparing really the college football game is just like big business now, just like big industry. You're gonna have some that can win and overcome. You're gonna have some that'll fall by the wayside.
All right, Max, I need a favor. I got an 8-year-old boy that went to a baseball party yesterday out on a farm. He was out there, and he grows up in my house. He don't know how to hunt or fish because I'm coaching basketball, and he's wanting to hunt and fish. he was out there with some of the dads trying to catch a fish for 2.5 hours. He could not catch a fish. Do you have a pond over there in Mississippi that he could put a little worm on his hook and throw it out there where he could catch, where they'll just bite it? And he could now, I think they were trying to catch bass on rubber worms. I'm like, Mac, that's too hard for your first time. I need a pond where he can definitely catch a fish. You got a place over there like that?
We guys here that where they go like that, when they drop a hook in there, they go get a bite. It's on the Tennessee Tombigbee River, and they go up around Florence, around Pickwick up there. Right at the base of the dam. I got buddies that go at least once a week, and they never come home without a mess of fish. And they tell you, they'll use artificial bait or real bait. They'll use crickets or worms, or they'll throw artificial. They said it's just kind of at the base of that dam up there. It's the fish migrate to that because when it's cold, they can go deeper. Where it's not as cold, when the sun's out and where they'll surface almost. But I hear stories every week about the best fishing in this part of the country is on the Tennessee Tombigbee River. They're up at Florence at Pickwick Dam, and they'll catch them every time.
I messaged his coaches last night. He said y'all are great baseball coaches, but y'all can't fish a lick because they were trying to help him catch a fish.
I understand that. You got to do what you got to do now.
Yeah.
That's all it is to it.
All right, cooling off a little bit. You cooking for anybody this weekend?
Yeah, we got a couple of ball games coming up. My guys got back. My guys drove to north of Denver, Colorado. That was 1,300 miles. They drove straight through, walked the mountains looking for mule deer for 3 days, did not even get a shot, and turned around and drove all the way back without stopping. So they kind of fatigued this past week, but yeah, they got a big hunting lodge on the river, so we're gonna cook this weekend. And they've already told me they want steak and a salad this weekend and 2 or 3 different desserts. So we'll do steaks on the grill. The women will bring 2 or 3 different kinds of salads. But they this week, since they missed this past week and they have had a couple of other weeks we hadn't had to cook for them, they want their favorite. They want that Mississippi mud pie, and that's that 3-layer chocolate with nuts in between, and they'll all have a good time. I can promise you that.
Well, Max, we appreciate it as always. Should be an interesting couple weeks. Man, college football flies, doesn't it? It seems like it's just starting, and we're down to 2 weeks in the regular season.
13th week, man, coming up. I think it's going to be the most important for 2 or 3 of these teams. It's going to be very important, and I think Alabama really going to Oklahoma, regardless of what Oklahoma is now. But the history of what Oklahoma has been in Norman, they'll play hard. They'll play hard. And Alabama needs to come away with a convincing win. They not only need to play hard and win, they need to cover. Because we had a couple of Texas didn't even cover this past week. So I think that goes in the book, too, is to when they start laying after points. Yeah. But you're right. The 13th week gone, and here we go. We'll be ready to playoffs in a couple more weeks after that.
Well, thank you, Max, very much.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Always my pleasure.
All right, there's Max Howell. Always fun to have Max on. So, yeah, these just saying fire a guy now, I don't think it's that easy now when you got $22 million going to the players and then you got to pay the coach, whatever you got to pay these coaches. So be interesting to see how these contracts get laid out in the future. We want to thank Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern. They made this 7 o'clock hour possible. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, then you certainly don't want it. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM. WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, we'll talk to Drew DeArmond. We'll talk to Martin Houston. We'll talk to Barrett Sallee. We're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hopefully there's a lot of good. The good is sponsored by Daniel Moore. We'll start taking your phone calls at 2 right here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. It is a purpose-driven ride on this marvelous Monday morning for you. Starting to fill in just a touch as we are in your primetime travels. And McFarland west or make that eastbound lanes onto Lurleen Wallace. And that is slowing down just a skosh. 43, you're going to find the typical delays on the southbound hookup to McFarland. And we got the construction zone. This is
Night live from Walk On Sports Bistro for Hillcrest Huddle. That's Brent Jones each week as the Hillcrest Patriots march towards the playoffs.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly to mostly sunny today, the high 75. Clouds move in tonight, the low 62. Tomorrow, cloudy, rain becoming widespread, the high 68. And for Thursday, the sky becoming partially sunny, the high 66. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 59 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Martin Weiss.
The AP Top 25 College Football Poll, no changes after Saturday's action. Oregon, number 1, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, and Indiana round out the remainder of the top 5. The sole undefeated team in the NFL, no more, as the Buffalo Bills beat Kansas City 30-21. Josh Allen with a 26-yard rushing touchdown makes it a 2-possession game with 2 minutes and 17 seconds left in that matchup. Steelers take total ownership of the AFC North top spot after they beat the Ravens 18-16. 49ers fall to last in the NFC West after the Seahawks best them 20-17. Chargers improved to 6-3 after beating Cincinnati 34-27. Justin Herbert, 2 touchdowns through the air, also led the team in rushing. Packers blocked the last-second field goal to beat the Bears 20-19, and the Cleveland Cavaliers remain undefeated after they beat the Hornets 128-114. Cleveland is 15-0 on the season. Darius Garland with a 25-point, 12-assist double-double. I'm Martin Weiss.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire...
It's the Tide Tailgate Show on 95.3 The Bear and Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230. Roll Tide.
Inside the locker room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Andrew Kniffer, my Allstate insurance agent. He'll help us kick off this 8 o'clock hour. Andrew's at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. So if you need home, life, auto, whatever you need, or if you, when you have the insurance, you need to use it, Andrew knows where to send you right here in the community, which is important as well. Been here since 2002. Give them a call today. They'll set you right up. 205-722 9201. Andrew Kniffer, Allstate Insurance. All right, get the Andrew Kniffer hotline. Get Tom in. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Tom. Morning, Barry. Good morning, Coach.
All right, Tom.
All right. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, and congratulations going across the state line and winning a game on the road.
Yeah, we did well. They were missing a guy or two, but we did okay against that big kid. We'll see. He's got some ability, but he's just got to learn how to use it. But I know Alabama did recruit him, but they probably didn't offer him. But he did sign with Mississippi State last week, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, good. Win's always good. I don't care how you get it.
That's right.
And the football season, though, is turning out to be so darn interesting, is it not? I mean, I'm watching games I normally wouldn't pay any attention to.
It's amazing. We looked at that BYU-Kansas game, and nobody could figure it out. And I tried to watch it. I couldn't stay awake. But when I woke up and then looked at the score, I was like, wow, what Vegas, they know. They know, don't they, Tom?
They do. They do. And this artificial intelligence, AI, is really playing a big part in, being able to analyze all these stats down to the very least of all stats. And it's making things very interesting. And I would suggest that the playoff committee look at some of that too. But that's another conversation for another day. But I wanted to call in. I've been thinking about a comment or a conversation y'all had last week, and y'all were talking. I think it was JC that the conversation was involved with, and that is Coach of the Year. Yeah. And I thought it was some interesting comments made about that. You got to admire what Clark Lee has accomplished at Vandy, right?
Sure.
And Beamer at South Carolina. What a great, I think, one of the better jobs in the conference this year that Shane Beamer's done, and admire him for that. But also, I got to throw Coach DeBoer in there. It's not easy what has happened to him coming in behind Coach Saban, kind of nosediving there temporarily, with the loss at Vandy and at Tennessee and so forth, and then righting the ship and playing pretty good football right now.
Yeah, Dad, would you give Coach DeBoer any consideration for Coach of the Year? They probably won't because they usually pick high. If you pick high, they tend not to do that. But does
Coach, not a rebuild either.
Yeah, does Coach DeBoer deserve any consideration?
No, he probably deserves some. He probably won't get much. Yeah. They always pick somebody that was picked low and finishes high. Probably the Coach of the Year will be at Vanderbilt. Second place, it might be if A&M runs all the table consideration for them. But I think the Coach of the Year will be at Vanderbilt personally.
Yeah, it might be, and that's not a bad choice. That's not easy to do what he's done, and I still admire him for, saying like Tom Hart said on your show that something's got to change, or we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over. And he goes out and brings in a new staff with 2 or 3 players attached to that staff, and kind of turns their fortunes around a little bit. And that is pretty good. But I thought that, but Shane Beamer to me is interesting as well. He's a better coach than I was giving him credit for, Barry.
Yeah, the fact that they kept coming back in that game, and you look at the games he lost. Man, if he could get them back, LSU. You always say that, but the Ole Miss beat him handily. But LSU there, they easily could have won that game, and Alabama
should have.
And then the Alabama game here, I think they lost by 2. Now, Alabama made a ton of mistakes in the game, but they were right there to win. They win those 2, then they're sitting there in the top 10. They're talking about going to the playoffs. That's just how close it is when you're.
It really is. And it's amazing, though. But I tell you who's not going to get it is Kelly at LSU.
No, he's not.
He'll be lucky to have a job, won't he?
I just don't think they can pay that kind of money and pay the players. No, they probably want to. I wish he'd go somewhere else, but they're stuck with him, I believe, Tom.
Well, I tell you what I heard out of some friends that are LSU, and they're disgusted. And but they're saying the people that have the money down there said, wait a minute. If we fire him, we're going to have to pay him. And then the way y'all hire around here, we're going to have to pay somebody more than we paying him to get them to come down here for this mess. And they said money can't be the problem at LSU. So we've been throwing money. This is what my friends are saying that the general consensus is. That money can't be the problem. We've been throwing money all over the place for years, and it ain't got us nowhere. No, that's what they're saying. The boosters are saying. So you got to come up with a different strategy. But they're saying though, if you come up with one that's decent, yeah, we'll pay. But so far on this path we're on, we're not doing it, and especially to the tune of what it's going to take to get him out. I think it's up there near $60 million, isn't it? It's a Jimbo type buyout.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But you know who's doing a heck of a job right now, and they're screaming about it, is Ed Ogeron.
What's he doing?
He works at Tulane, and he's got that defensive line playing lights out.
I didn't know that. He's a defensive line coach at Tulane. Where have I been?
I'm not 100% sure he's like on staff, but he's with them.
Really?
Huh. Yeah. And it looks like he gave up the cocaine and looks healthier than he looks.
Did you say cocaine?
Oh yeah, he's bad about that now, or was.
Wow, I didn't know that either. Tom, you letting me?
Oh yeah, he'll snort the white line off the highway, baby.
I hope he's not
I'll
listening.
see you, buddy.
Thank you, Tom. All right, Dan, we hadn't talked about the Alabama-Purdue game. I don't think just your average fan, I was talking about this with a guy, that they think, oh, what's wrong with Alabama? Like, they don't understand how difficult it is to go on the road. Home court advantage in basketball is a lot different than it is in football. And I think as a Alabama fan that maybe didn't appreciate Matt Painter and the tradition of Purdue and the environment that Purdue provides there, that they, it was a good game for Alabama as far as learning. They had a hard time guarding those guys in the post. Grant Nelson had no chance guarding their big guys down there. What do they take out of that game? And I'm not surprised Purdue won, but I think the fans don't understand the difficulty of going on the road in college basketball.
Well, I don't think Alabama's quite ready defensively the way they need to be. 87 points on their opponent. They shot 13 more threes than Purdue, which means it's either one or two things happen when you look at percentages. Either the defense on the threes is really good, or they got open shots and couldn't make any. I'd imagine Painter had the defense ready to play. I couldn't see the game. I couldn't see it, but I kept up with it on my computer as best I could. Watch the game on the computer, but not see everything. Purdue played harder. Purdue played hard, really, really, really hard. Crowd helped them a lot. They helped each other a lot, and they just played better. But the 13-point difference in attempts from the threes was significant for Alabama. I think each one of them made 9 threes. I can't remember exactly. I don't have it in front of me. But I think playing hard, Alabama's inability to defend maybe the way Coach wants them to. And when you shoot that many threes, you got to make more than 9. And if you defend the rest of the people in the perimeter and you can't make but 9 threes and you're Alabama, you're probably not going to win. So Purdue's good. Playing up there is hard. It's a good game to get them ready. Won't be any significant problem with Alabama basketball because of that. And just look at the mistakes you made and try to improve.
Yeah, the schedule doesn't get any easier. Of course, you play tough teams, you get exposed. They got exposed once the big kid from Rutgers went out with foul trouble defending. Now, not a lot of people going to have guys the size of Purdue, but in Purdue, really good offensively, moving the ball. But that environment, wow. Some environment. Chase, did you get a chance to see the game? Of course, second half, Alabama made a run, and then late Purdue just really killed them in the paint.
Yeah, Purdue can shoot. I underestimated them a lot, and people don't understand Purdue's environment is insane. It reminds me of Indiana, you know, BYU, just loud. They don't care. So it was just Purdue just had a good night, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Purdue will be tough for anybody to beat over there. Of course, Alabama being number 2, then you're going to get the full house when you come in, and they'll see that a lot this year. But they will travel up to Birmingham on Wednesday and take on a good Illinois team that will be very physical as well. So it's a tough stretch, and I think they got Houston maybe after that in Vegas. So a tough stretch of games here, and they'll learn a lot about themselves as they go through that. All right, we'll take the break. Open the lines, 205-342-9904. We also have Coach DeBoer's press conference. We can just play that out and hear what he had to say after that Mercer game. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A lot thicker on your roadways now that you're in your prime time rush to work. And if you're traveling on McFarland Boulevard, of course, it is in that tight spot. And that is in the east and westbound lanes in between Academy Drive and 43. 43 moving.
Tuscaloosa is the place to be. Visit us now to save big and discover why so many are switching to BMW. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by CB&S Bank. Bank anywhere, at any time, with CB&S Bank's digital solutions. Managing your finances has never been so easy. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Here's head coach Kalen DeBoer following Alabama's win on Saturday against Mercer.
Good to get a win and get a lot of guys out there on the field. They all put in a lot of work, and there's that little window that you try to hit where you get the ones to work and you get the score where you need it to be, and for the guys to play a quarter and a half essentially and get a lot of guys on the football field, it was fun to see them get out there and play and work on their execution. So like that we got 3 more takeaways. I think there's a mindset about our defense and 3 of the first 4 possessions to do that. Just really like where we're at. We're hunting the ball and offensively, putting the drives there. I know we're at the end of the first half, maybe, had a field goal there. We'd love to score in the red zone, get a touchdown. But for the most part, again, taking care of the football, no turnovers.
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Join us tonight for Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health, live at 6 p.m. Central from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by CB&S Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker. Funny thing, the day we don't have Doug Bell on, Doug went 3-0 this week in his picks. So I guess we'll have him on tomorrow. But he went 3-0. I'm trying to find his picks here again, but just checked them. He took Boston College plus 17. I think that was a 10-point game. He took Georgia minus 9. He hit that one. In Virginia plus 23.5. And Virginia lost 35-14. So Doug went 3-0 this week. So good for Doug. Tuscaloosa Toyota. Go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. You can look at all the new inventory, the pre-owned inventory. You can schedule a service. You can rent a Toyota right there at the website. Or swing by Skyline Boulevard. David, Justin, they'll take great care of you. Look forward to visiting with Justin on Wednesday about all the great specials they got going on with the holidays coming up. So go to the website, check everything out at TuscaloosaToyota.com. All right, no Doug today. We'll have Doug tomorrow. Coach DeBoer had a pretty short press conference after the game on Saturday. We normally don't play a ton of the press conferences, but with Doug being out today, people probably haven't heard this particular press conference. We'll go ahead and play this in its entirety for you. Here was Coach DeBoer after the victory over Mercer.
We'll begin with Coach DeBoer's opening statement, and we'll take questions. Leave your hands up in the air, and we'll try to get to everyone. Coach, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, you bet. Good to get a win and get a lot of guys out there on the field. They all put in a lot of work, and there's that little window that you try to hit where you get the ones the work and you get the score where you need it to be, and for the guys to play a quarter and a half essentially and get a lot of guys on the football field, it was fun to see them get out there and play and work on their execution. So like that we got 3 more takeaways. I think there's a mindset about our defense and 3 of the first 4 possessions to do that. Just really like where we're at. We're hunting the ball and offensively, putting the drives there. I know we're at the end of the first half, maybe, had a field goal there. We'd love to score in the red zone, get a touchdown. But for the most part, again, taking care of the football, no turnovers, and, getting the takeaways. And, that's where it all starts. And so guys worked hard all week long. Thought they really had a good demeanor about them, working on themselves individually, wanting to build on what we did a week ago. And, going to the tail end of the season here, I think relatively, healthy as far as who played today and no one getting seriously dinged up, for next week.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start in the far right with Charlie.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Robbie scored his first touchdown of the season today. Just what do you think of that play, and what does he mean to your offense?
Yeah, he's just kind of a Swiss Army knife for us out there, especially, in the blocking piece. And, for him to get down the field, and they put a lot of guys up towards the line of scrimmage. That's just a part of what they do, and they've been very successful with it. Number one, at the FCS level in rush defense, but some play actions there that we got behind him on, and for Robbie to haul one in was really exciting for our guys, exciting for him. I love to see it. So he got a chance as a senior to talk to the team last night, and you can just tell the love our team has for him, how much they appreciate the effort he brings each and every day, not just each and every week, but he's got a mindset, a toughness about him, that just exudes what Alabama football is all about.
Left side, front row to Nick.
Yeah, you had a chance to get a lot of work for your quarterbacks in today. What did you think of some of the guys who came in after Jalen and what they did?
Yeah, Ty with some scrambles, the long one kind of along our sideline. I think people who really know and have watched Ty, probably all of you can see that he's got that ability, can do things with his feet. Everyone gets tied into Jalen and his running ability, but Ty's tough to handle it when it comes to running the football too. And so escaping, making some plays, the third down, throwing it deep, or fourth down, throwing it deep, that was, if it's picked off, it's picked off, and so smart just to give him a chance and, find a way to make a play. So, and I thought Dylan and Austin coming in and moving the chains, Dylan on a fourth down, was it fourth down, right? Fourth down conversion. Austin coming in, laying a ball in there along the left sideline for the touchdown. There's that, again, fine window of trying to let these guys run the offense and get that experience and get an opportunity to do what they work on each and every day. So I was proud of the way they just handled everything, from the execution to just even the procedural things where, making sure guys are lined up before we motion, all of that stuff. So, I thought it was a good day for all of them as a whole.
Keep it on the left side of Tony. On your left, Tony.
How big was it to get a non-offensive touchdown, and just is that one of those things that you guys can kind of build on? Is it almost like you break the seal with those? Yeah,
those are exciting. I mean, the guys, talk about it, and when they come up short and they think they had a chance to score, they always hear about you should have kept it along this sideline or cut back, and for us to get him in the end zone with that long return, it was something that's exciting for the whole team because they have gotten the takeaways. We just hadn't ended up with one in the end zone like that. So I love the mindset, again, going back to what the defense is doing. They're attacking. They're, 3 and out is, what they're shooting for. But right now, the position they're putting our offense in, getting points on the board now too, it's really good.
Jump back over to the right side of Colin.
Hey, Kalen. Kind of on
on that same vein, why did you want to see, I guess, the defense play a couple more extra, or the first team defense play a couple more extra drives than the second team offense, heading into the fourth quarter, I guess?
Yeah, well, I think, first of all, there's a lot of guys rotating in on defense to begin with. And so, I mean, there's a lot of young guys we already have on the football field with the ones. And then, there's less experience even when you put the twos out there. And a lot of that 1 and 2 is in rotation up front in the secondary. And then, the score isn't completely lopsided. And when you start putting your next guys in with the offense, you want to be careful just to make sure the game can stay and nothing crazy happens. But I know that none of you felt like it was in jeopardy. But, those are just things that you want to be careful of. Make sure you can get through the quarter and then get into the fourth. But, again, we play a lot of guys already, before you even get to substituting, they're in the latter part of the game.
Second row to the right, Katie.
You hit on this a little bit in your opening, but what did you see from the team this week and their focus and intensity, making sure they didn't have a mental letdown in a game like today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've really, as we get to the latter half of the season, really honed in on, more and more leaders stepping up, take care of yourself, own what you do and take care of that, and then bring someone else with you. And the intensity in practice, it's not like guys are flying off the walls and things like that, but there's a focus that they bring, and there's just a business-like approach where they know that they got to do this, they got to eat right, sleep right, do all those things off the field, take care of the business there, and it leads to the success that they had. But when they do those things right, and you invest, that's invest in improving yourself and improving our team, and that's what I thought they did. And there's downstairs, I know some of the upperclassmen talking about how much they appreciate the young guys and how happy we were that some of those guys got a chance to go out there. They're giving scout team looks all week long, all season long, and for them to get out there and have a little success and enjoy the moment was great, and the whole team's happy for them.
Let's go to Steven on the back left.
Coach, he doesn't have that C on his chest, but Jahad Campbell's game has just jumped these last few weeks. What's led to that and the intensity he brings to that defense?
What was that? What?
To the intensity he brings to that defense, Campbell.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, again, that's a great example of, you don't have to have the C to be a leader. And Jahad is exactly that. He's been a leader for us ever since I can remember. I've counted on him. I go to him, expecting big things, expecting that leadership. He can run. It starts there. But I think just the more and more he just plays ball, executes the plays, understands what our defense is and how it matches up against what he's seeing, trusting the others around him, not trying to do too much and just attacking. He's feeling it, and there's confidence that he has that you can see coming out in the playmaking ability, and that's not just him but a lot of guys, but it starts with some of those guys that are making the plays consistently, and Jahad's one of them.
We got 2 questions left, starting with Ariel on the back right.
Coach, through 9 games so far this season, how have you really seen the offensive line grow together, and kind of going back to what Katie said, just have that attention to detail and not lack of focus?
Yeah, there's going to be plays. We didn't have any sacks today. I know we got hit a couple times or had a little pressure, but I think there's things. Last week was a huge step running the football and just moving people, and there's little adjustments, little tweaks. We, played Gino a lot at right guard, just to give Jaden. Jaden could have been out there and played for us. But it's good to get Gino out there, and we got to continue to build that depth. And I think they're more in sync. You really don't see any busts, and it's been going on for many weeks now. You don't see busts. They've been really consistent, and the execution's been good, and they're just trying to make the execution better and better and better each and every week, both in the pass protection and the run game.
We'll finish up on standing up on the back right. Always standing up back there. Yeah.
Just what has impressed you the most about Ryan Williams' freshman season that he's having right now?
Probably just how he handles it all. I mean, he's a player, that comes to work every day. Nothing goes to his head. He's about the team. He really is. And when we call up on him or when we need him to make a play, he's ready, and he's just consistent each and every day. Just a joy to be around. Got a smile on his face. I've been challenging him to be a leader, because obviously we're looking to him as a guy that's one of our playmakers, and the respect the whole team has been there really since day one because of how hard he does work, and then the production as well. So it's just, I think, how he handles everything. It's just, there's a maturity about him that's well beyond his years. I think we know how old he is, right? So, it's really cool, and I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of the way that the guys just have really, rallied around him at times. But I'm proud of the way he just, puts the team first always.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Roll Tide.
All right, then there was Coach DeBoer, and Coach and the coordinators will meet with the media today. Normally, what's that, around 11:30? Chase, they'll do that in the preparation for this Oklahoma game. And Oklahoma had a week off to get ready for Alabama. So night game up there, kind of their Super Bowl, to be quite honest with you. So the current line is 4-team. I think that could be a tough deal. Every game for Alabama now is like a playoff game, so that, you win and you get to the next one and you win. And so that's the way they'll have to treat it. Dad, how important is it, to be able to play some of those second and third line guys? They've been practicing hard, and to be able to get them on the field probably will help morale in the locker room.
Okay, I'm back on.
Yeah. I was just asking about the importance of getting those second and third team guys, a lot of action there who probably don't play much. It probably helps the overall morale in the locker room for Alabama.
Boy, it does. It's terrific. Those mothers and daddies and girlfriends been waiting to see them play and gone out there disappointed. Got a chance to be happy for a few minutes. No, there's not any doubt. Playing a number of people is a great way to do it. You got to take care of your team because your team has to run the score up. That's just the honest truth. They can't beat Mercer 10-7. So yes, a win's a win. I understand all that, but a larger win against somebody you're supposed to be is more important. So playing that many people is, I think, a good move, and I think he does that kind of thing. That's kind of the way he is personality wise.
Yeah, he talked about get the starters some work. You want to get those guys some work. You don't want to keep them sharp because people can lose their conditioning and all that. So, but normally they go on Sundays and take Mondays off. But there'll be a lot of preparation getting ready for this Oklahoma game as they travel up there on Friday to take on the Sooners on Saturday night. All right, let's talk about Bryant Bank, and then we'll get to break.
Bryant Bank, locations in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. Columbiana throughout the South is a bank that you may want to go to or should want to go to if you want to keep a personal or business accounts, two different accounts, then you know that your money's going to be safe. You can bank online, which is easy and good, and you can meet people as you go in that will be beneficial to you because they'll help you if you're trying to buy a home or whatever you're trying to do and need to borrow money. They can help you there too. So go by Bryant Bank and tell them you heard it inside the locker room.
All right, we'll take this break. Listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A lot thicker on your roadways now that you're in your prime time rush to work. And if you're traveling on McFarland Boulevard, of course, it is in that tight spot. And that is in the east and westbound lanes in between Academy Drive and 43. 43 moving real slow on
the in-stock 2025 Nissan Sentra with 30 available plus every 24 Kicks and Versa in stock. Don't wait. These units will fly away from Townsend Nissan.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside
up, or enjoy free shipping to your home on purchases over $25. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280 in Birmingham.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly to mostly sunny today, the high 75. Clouds move in tonight, the low 62. Tomorrow, cloudy, rain becoming widespread, the high 68. And for Thursday, the sky becoming partially sunny, the high 66. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 62 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
For more from Tide 100.9, let's it fly! And there's it! Whoa! Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to get it on the show. Look at the top 25, Chase. Dad had to get off, so it's just Chase and I. So you're welcome to give us a buzz. But we'll see what the playoff committee does tomorrow. I think Kirby Smart was very frustrated with the committee, kind of where they were ranked last week. And he's talked about the difficulty of the league. And going on the road, but honestly, Georgia was probably where they should have been. I do know they played a tough schedule, a lot tougher than he's played in the past. Not being in divisions has really beefed up his schedule. Now, Texas is not, but for some reason, they're not getting penalized when it comes to the rankings for a week 9 conference schedule. I guess there's nobody else but Oregon, who struggled. Oregon was losing in the second half in that game, and Wisconsin, who Alabama throttled, played them well, but they end up getting it done. One of the dumbest calls I thought was that fake field goal that they ran there instead of you go up 6 there. I didn't understand that play. Sometimes Dan Lanning outsmarts himself. He did that last year on some situations, but anyway, they hold on at 11-0. 1 game left. Let me look here and see who they got left on that schedule to see if they're going to run this thing. They got Washington, and that game is in Eugene. So they'll probably finish the regular season 12-0 there. Ohio State is 2. Texas, then Penn State. Just haven't been impressed with Penn State, but for whatever reason, they're still ahead of Indiana at number 5. Right there, Notre Dame, who's beaten nobody, is sitting there. So they're not penalizing these teams with big names like Texas and Notre Dame with these terrible, terrible schedules. Now, when you're in a league, these super leagues now, Chase, your schedule is so unbalanced because you don't play everybody. So that it just so happens that some of Texas's opponents, like Oklahoma, those guys are down. So it's not, you can't really blame the team as far as their conference schedule. But anyway, Georgia, as I thought, would be sitting there right behind Alabama. I think the committee will do the same thing. I think they'll have Alabama, those 2 lost teams, ranked the highest. Ole Miss at number 9 and Tennessee at number 10. So right there, if you just went off of that right there, you'd have 4 teams from the SEC make the college football playoff, and only Alabama out of those seedings there, if it flipped that way, and possibly Georgia would get home games in those situations. Ole Miss sitting there at 9. If you're the 9, you travel, I guess, to 8. So I do think the home games are pretty neat. That's why I'd like for them to go to 16 and everybody play in the first round, Chase, and the top 8 gets a home game there. Then you take it to the bowls from there. But should be interesting. The teams that need to worry, Miami is 11, Boise State, as long as they take care of business, they'll be in. SMU is right there at 13, no slip-ups from BYU fell all the way from around 5 or 6. They fell 7 spots to 14. Texas A&M that travels to Auburn is sitting right there at 15. We'll see if Auburn can be a spoiler. Hugh Freeze looked very giddy in the press conference. He said he was going to be able to go home and eat for the first time, that the losing at home, he doesn't want to eat. So I hope he had a good meal there eating. As you go down, you got Colorado, Clemson, they have a chance now if they can get to that ACC championship game. I'm not sure how the tiebreakers. It looks like they may be on the outside looking in there with the tiebreakers and all there. All right, let's get to the Yellowwood hotline and get Digger in. Good morning, Digger.
Hey.
Hey.
You trying to get me to call again? What the hell?
What I liked about you last week, though, you were very honest about Texas's schedule. You didn't hide.
I'm honest this week. It's TCB. Take care of business.
Yeah. So how does
I know we didn't blow out Arkansas, but you got to read between the lines on that. They went 3 high on us. Nobody's gone 3 high on us this year, except for Arkansas. Believe it or not. You know what 3 high means?
No.
3 high safety.
No.
Just keep everything in front of you.
Yeah.
Quinn had to work with 10 yards and 15 yards, and that's it.
Yeah, I thought.
They're still not happy with him, but still.
I thought Texas.
We led the whole way.
I thought Arkansas would cover that game. It turned out about like I thought. I thought Texas would win, Arkansas would cover, and that's what happened.
There you go. Now, listen, you're not looking at the quality losses.
Okay.
That's why Penn State is up there, because they got to have brains beat in by Ohio State. They're going to throw them a bone for that.
But why would you put them ahead of Indiana?
Indiana is the one you're going to watch this week to see if they get past Ohio State.
Yeah, but just put Indiana ahead of them, and then if Ohio State trounces them, then you drop them. But don't put them there. I don't know. We'll see what the committee does.
I'm with you on that, but you got to look at the losses now. I mean, you can't. Who do you want to put up there in that place? You can't put BYU.
No, BYU's all the way down at. You got Notre Dame, who doesn't have much on there at 6. So
well, and the problem with Notre Dame is they got a sweetheart deal with this playoff thing, don't you think?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I think they did. You're cutting in and out. I can't tell what you're telling me, but anyway, real quick, it's Kentucky. Look for a much improved offense from Texas, because they don't do the 3 high unless Stoops-Wise is up. So we'll see. But other than that, we're not going to get the answer we want and you want until we play A&M.
What's the line on that A&M game going to be, Digger?
What?
What will the line be on the Texas A&M game?
3.
Who's favored?
Texas.
Texas
will
about 3.
Be 3. Okay. Come on, why are you're not going to make A&M a favorite, are you?
Probably not, but at home.
They get a home.
Yeah. So it's a pick'em game, pretty much.
I think Texas, regardless of what kind of offense we played this year,
I think Texas.
You got to admit,
I think Texas beats Texas A&M. To be honest with you, and that would put Texas and Alabama probably in the playoff or in the SEC championship game. I don't know. We lost Digger. I think that would put Texas and Alabama in. If Alabama wins out and Texas wins, I believe that would be the case. So Texas and Alabama playing for the SEC championship. Wow. And maybe DeBoer can go 3-0 against Steve Sarkisian. Then Digger would never call if that happened. So, all right, we'll take this last break. We'll get back. We'll wrap up the show. We'll get out of here and make way for the Gary Harris Show. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, we'll talk to Drew DeArmond. We'll talk to Martin Houston. We'll talk to Barrett Sallee. We're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hopefully there's a lot of good. The good is sponsored by Daniel Moore. We'll start taking your phone calls at 2 right here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. It hadn't been a half bad back to work Monday. We're looking at pretty much typical delays in the typical spots, like on McFarland, East and Westbound, at the Lurleen Wallace intersection. Everything is, again, traveling as it typically does. And then we move inside a construction zone on 2059 in the southeast.
Education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
Only here for a limited time. Shop now at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly to mostly sunny today, the high 75. Clouds move in tonight, the low 62. Tomorrow, cloudy, rain becoming widespread, the high 68. And for Thursday, the sky becoming partially sunny, the high 66. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 62 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Back up to the Yellowwood Hotline. We'll go up to Birmingham, get Tony in. Morning, Tony.
Hey, guys. Y'all doing okay?
Yeah, it's just me. Dad had to jump off, but
okay.
What you got this morning?
Hey, congratulations on your big win, Barry. Secondly, what happens if, and I think I know the answer, get your opinion, what happens if Auburn beats A&M, A&M turns around and beats Texas? Does that put Alabama against Georgia?
I don't know.
If we went out.
Isn't that something? You tell me. I don't know.
I think it would. I think it would be Alabama versus Georgia again, but, you know, I don't. I think Texas A&M, I don't know who to pick. I don't know. I don't know if Auburn's turned a corner, if it's just who they played. I don't know if they're very good.
Yeah, so. They're going to get somebody. It may be A&M. I don't think it's going to be Alabama. So this is part of their lap. But that probably helps their preparation, don't you think? Anytime you win, it don't matter who it's against. It helps everything's just a little easier getting ready the next week when you win a game when you hadn't won in a while. So I think Auburn has good preparation and should be a good ball game. And of course, you catch Texas A&M looking ahead as well with that big game with Texas coming up. So
that's what I was thinking. Do you think Alabama matches up better with Illinois than they did Purdue?
I don't know. I think it's going to kind of be the same type of team. A very physical. Run really good offense, which Purdue does. So they're difficult to guard. And so I think it'll be the same. I don't know about their size and all that. Normally that guy has a lot of big guys as well. So these physical teams can sometimes beat you up defensively. And, they made it hard for Mark Sears to get any good looks. So I think it'll be a tough game for Alabama for sure. And so will Houston. Yeah. The next two. You're gonna be in a war when you play teams like that.
I agree, Barry. All right, but we have a good day, man.
Thank you, Tony. I always appreciate Tony calling in. Has good perspective there. Yeah, so he's saying if A&M lost to Auburn, I would give them 2 losses. Then A&M beat Texas, so that would give Texas their second loss. I can't figure it out, but he thinks, and Tony's probably right because Tony knows. He knows football. He knows it better than I do. That would put Georgia and Alabama. I hope not, because they could play again in the playoff as well. So, do you want to see Alabama and Georgia 3 times? I kind of like being able to brag that you beat Georgia. The more times you play them, eventually they're going to get you. It's like my little team played Helena last year 2 times in the regular season, and we beat them both times, and then in the first round of the playoffs, we had to go to Helena, and they finally got us because they were really good. So playing teams 2 and 3 times is kind of difficult, to be quite honest with you, because you know each other so well. So I don't know. I'm hoping. I'd like to see an Alabama-Texas game. I know people are worried if you get to the playoff, you get to Atlanta, and you were to lose that game, that could knock you out of the playoff. I don't see that happening. If you get to Atlanta and if you're Alabama and you get to Atlanta with their resume and their strength of schedule and their wins, if they were to lose, they would still be in the playoff. I firmly believe that. So anyway, I don't think you have anything to worry. Get there, win it, win your ring. And I think it's great for your program. It'd be great for Coach DeBoer and the staff to win the SEC championship his first year, and that's what they'll tell you as you go. All right, that's it for today's show. We're going to get out of here. We'll make way for the Gary Harris Show. Tomorrow's show, Kevin Skarbinski, as always, joins us, but we'll have Doug, 3-0 Doug. 3-0? I'm going to text him when we get off and say, I cannot believe you weren't on the day that you finally went 3-0. We were going to have to brag on you. But keep it locked in. Appreciate you, Chase. Tell those other knuckleheads I got the computer working for them. They need to thank me. You can't do the show without the computer in here. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports. Have a great day, everybody.